Hello, I'm Ishan, here to give you the latest news from HNN, the Hindu News Network. Today's top story is a crash course in Hinduism. Hinduism began in Southwest Asia at around 2500 BCE, or before Common Era, and it began in the Indus River Valley. Hinduism is the only religion to be founded by a group of people as opposed to a single founder. Hinduism can be referred to as the father of polytheism, as most polytheistic religions like Buddhism, Krishna, and Sikhism all developed from Hinduism. Hindus are polytheistic as previously mentioned, but they believe in one supreme god, Brahma. And they also believe in many lesser gods like Vishnu and Shiva. Now, all the Hindus and Hindon'ts of this religious culture can be found in the Veda, a series of holy books. The Veda discusses topics like karma, reincarnation, and dharma. Karma is believed to be a spiritual force that dictates your future based on your decisions of the past, whereas dharma is a code of conduct to follow to have good karma. How you follow dharma not only deals with your karma, but with reincarnation, the idea that when one dies, the soul is reborn into a new body. Your behavior in life decides what body you will be reincarnated to, whether that is a person, a dog, a guinea pig, etc. For those of you who are having difficulty grasping the concept of karma, dharma, and reincarnation, our staff here at HNN has developed an example of this process.
Dharma? Man, that's stupid. I love carrots.
Oh! Looks like he had bad karma.
Reincarnation!
Oh, you love carrots, don't you, Pat? That is an essential part of Hindu culture as their beliefs of afterlife. What if a soul has lived a prosperous and religious life, the soul can escape the constant cycle of reincarnation to nirvana, the ultimate afterlife, a state of peace, if you will. Now, after the short break, we'll bring you to Jagajit and Parthiv as they discuss Hindu conflicts.
Good day, this is HNN Conflict Coverage with me, Jagajit.
And I'm Parthiv.
Our first topic today is British rule on India. One major conflict within the Hindu religion includes the British reign over the India region from around 1757 to 1947. The British rule caused heavy restrictions on the practicing of Hinduism, dramatically affecting the progression of the very Indian-based religion. Similar to many other European countries at the time, the British were focused on expanding out and claiming land as their own. In 1757, Robert Clive, a British general, won the battle at Plassey, which ended the rule of the Mughal Empire. Consequently, the British moved in and took control of the region. At first, the British didn't force or restrict religion, they let the Indians practice as they pleased, which for many was Hinduism. Although by no means were the British okay with the idea of conflicting beliefs in an area the British believed to belong to them. As a result, the Indian civilizations became more rebellious. As time passed, more and more conflicts arose. In 1857, Indian mutiny occurred over their commanding British officers when the British polished their rifles with cow and pig fat, which was offensive to the Hindus. This event started a chain reaction of rebellion until 1858, when fuming Indians turned on their British and slaughtered many of their people. The British regained control, however, at the cost of extremely merciless tactics. These tactics included the widespread use of tear gas and physical punishment. Following the mutiny, the East Indian Company, a trading corporation, was abolished and the British Crown gained full control over India. Reforms were put into place, which included tolerance of religion and the recruitment of Indians into the civil service. While the reforms were sought out to avoid further rebellions through conciliation, the British military was strengthened, resulting in increased defiance. Furthermore, in 1898, when Lord Curzon became Viceroy and instituted some very unpopular policies, an Indian nationalist movement began to stir. One of the major events within the nationalist movement included the Salt March. The British had been taxing salt for over 40 years, and because salt was necessary for food preservation and healthy levels of human minerals, the Indians were not going to let it stand. On March 12th of 1930, Mahatma Gandhi led a revolutionary march to the Dandi beach, where the rebels planned to take natural salt from and sell illegally. However, the British prevented this from happening. They stood at the entrance of the beach and beat over 2,500 objectors with batons. But despite his leadership role in the march, Gandhi wasn't arrested because his popularity would have caused many problems for the British. However, Gandhi continued to peacefully protest, which eventually got him thrown in jail. This tactic effectively rallied the people together against the British rule. As more movements occurred, the Indian people eventually regained their freedom in 1947, and the land was split between India and Pakistan. This break free from the British rule allowed the Indian people to once again freely practice their beautiful Hindu religion. And now we have a map here that displays the land divisions before and after the British control. This image was brought to you by Hindu Airways. Reach Nirvana with us. And adding on to that beautiful map, today's conflict coverage was also brought to you by Mahatma Gandhi. You must be the change you wish to see in the world. Well, that's all from me today, folks. Now here's Partiv with more conflict coverage.
Thanks, Jagajit. And now we move to a more recent and violent conflict between the Hindus and the Muslims, which is described as quote-unquote an outstanding issue for more than half a century. It all started in 1947 when Britain split up India and Pakistan, and ever since the two countries have been warring against the disputed area of Kashmir, the land that lies between them. Both countries claim rights to the land, and while they figure it out, the Hindu religion is caught in the crossfire. Here we have another map brought to you by our exclusive travel partner Hindu Airways detailing the Kashmir area. India consists of a population that is nearly 80% Hindu and 14% Muslim, while Pakistan is 1.6% Hindu and majorly 95% Muslim. This, combined with race tensions over land disputes, leads to horrendous acts of terror among both groups, including mass killings and kidnappings, along with destruction of several religious structures, such as 36 Hindu temples which have been either ransacked or vandalized. And while this conflict leads to continued casualties, nothing compares to the Bangladesh genocide of 1971. Ranked as one of the most devastating genocides, the casualties soar into a range of 3 million people killed by Pakistani forces and numerous militias whose goal was to exterminate most people in the Bengali area, a bulk of which included the Hindu people. In fact, it's believed that a major portion of victims were Hindu. Fast forward to the 1990s, an insurgency between Pakistan and India leads to 100 demonstrators being killed, and due to threats of violence and terror, nearly all Hindus are moved from the Kashmir area. Violence against civilians is still widespread in both countries. This course of violence is continued by the Pakistanis in 1999 when they attempted an invasion of Indian-controlled Kashmir but are successfully repelled by India's army. And now, in the present day, tensions are continuously high as neither country wants to back down. Attempts to boost relations between India and Pakistan are having minimal effect, and peace talks are going slowly. However, there is hope for an end. Pakistani Prime Minister Yusuf Raza Gilani declared publicly his desire for an end to the quote-unquote long legacy of hostility and distrust. And also, Prime Minister of India Dr. Manmohan Singh also agrees that India cannot quote-unquote realize its full developmental potential without having the best possible relation with its neighbors, including Pakistan. However, India is fearful the land will be used for anti-India terrorist activities. Reaching an end to this conflict will be a huge undertaking, and with both sides seeking a truce, but not willing to budge on their stances, the world may have to wait a bit longer to see how this one turns out. It's a dangerous political game, where hopefully religions can get out of the crossfire. And you didn't stop it. Okay.
I didn't hear the reaching into the conflict.
Thanks, Jagajit and Partiv. Hi, I'm Jalaha, and we're live at the Festival of Colors. Now let me tell you about the significance of Holi. Holi is a festival that celebrates Krishna, Holika, Prahlad, and becoming a spring. This holiday is celebrated on the day of full moon between February and March. The next Holi festival is celebrated on March 6, 2015. Last year, the festival went like this. Now we take a quick trip back to our studio in India. Now we're back at our studio in India with Rachana. I'm going to continue telling you about Holi. Primarily in North India and Nepal, people celebrate Holi in 3 days. The first day of Holi, people arrange to make colored powders. The colors are made at home from flowers from the tesu or palace tree, also called the flame of the forest. These flowers are dazzling red and extreme orange in color. To make the pouches of color, they were collected from the forest and spread out on mats. They dry in the sun and then are ground to dust. When the powder mixes with water, it makes a beautiful saffron red. They also make many other colors. On the second day of Holi, in rural India, the night is celebrated by lighting huge bonfires as part of a celebration. People gather around and sing folk songs, dance, and enjoy the wonderful feast that has been prepared. On the third day of Holi, it is the most energetic day of the entire festival. Children, men, and women visit each other's home with colored powders preparing to attack. They are thrown into the air and smeared on each other's faces. The children and adults use water balloons filled with colors so they can spray other people. Holi also celebrates the legend of Prahlad and Halika. This is the main Holi legend, which is the reason for this festival. The Demon King, who thought he was higher than all the gods, considered himself the ruler of the universe. He had a sister who was a female demon, and her name was Halika. Prahlad was the king's son. His father hated him because Prahlad was faithful to the god Vishnu. One day, the king asked his son who was greatest, God or I. God is, said the son. You are only a king. The king was furious and decided to murder his son, but his murders didn't work out. Prahlad survived being thrown over a cliff, being trampled by elephants, bitten by snakes, and attacked by soldiers. The king asked his sister, Halika, to kill the boy. Halika took Prahlad and sat in the middle of the fire with the boy on her lap. Halika had been given a gift of the gods that made her immune to fire. So she thought Prahlad would burn to death while she remained alive. But it is never wise to take gifts for granted. Halika used her gift to do something evil, so her power vanished and she was burned to ashes. Prahlad stayed true to his god Vishnu and sat praying in the lap of his demon aunt. Vishnu protected him and Prahlad survived. Shortly after, Vishnu killed the king and Prahlad ruled in his father's place. The moral of this story is that good always wins over evil, and those who seek pain will be destroyed. That is why they do a bonfire on the second day of Holi. Many people put a dummy of Halika and burn her on the fire. Even though Holi is a festival of color and happiness, there are some risks you would have to take. You might be sprayed from a complete stranger if you pass them by. People around you might also be intoxicated, which is perfectly acceptable that day. Women also love relaxed rules, which may make them rather aggressive. This festival is extremely messy because of the bright clouds of powders in the air everywhere. There are also some health warnings that the ingredients of the colored powder mixed with dangerous material may make people become ill or even blind. When smeared on the face, the powder may get into the eyes and affect the cornea, leading to loss of sight. Today, many people celebrate Holi. It is an ancient festival that excites curiosity throughout the town. This may be a festival that is part of the Hinduism culture, but it might be rather fun coming home looking like a rainbow. Now we are going to head over to Yurvana and Vinchu.
Thanks, Jalaha. Good afternoon. My name is Yavrani. We are here with the well-known Hindu god Vishnu.
Hello, thank you for having me.
It's a real pleasure having you here today. I've got a few questions many have been asking.
Alright, I'm here to answer all your questions.
I've heard that you appear back on Earth as an avatar in some occasions. Could you explain why?
Yeah, I appear on Earth in various incarnations or avatars to fight demons and fierce creatures. In general, I come during troubled times and restore the balance of good and evil.
What are your avatars, as in what do they look like?
Well, I turn into an avatar when I appear on Earth. They can be an animal, a person, or a mix of both of the sort.
In your photos, you always have 4 objects in your hands. What are those 4 objects and what do they represent?
Well, in one hand I have a conch, which I actually left at home today, but they represent the primeval sound of creation. And in the other hand, which I also don't have, I forgot to bring my stuff today, I'd like to apologize, is the chakra, which symbolizes the mind. I also carry the lotus flower, which is an example of glorious existence and liberation. I also hold the mace, which represents mental and physical strength.
How are you worshipped?
My worshippers perform a Vishnu puja on a full moon day. They thoroughly clean the place in which the puja will be held. Then they place a photo of me and light the incense sticks and ghee lamp. Then they offer me sweets, tulsi leaves, and yellow flowers. They're wonderful. They then chant the Vishnu mantra 108 times and distribute the prasad, which is the food received by me. They give that to those who attended the puja. After they perform the Vishnu puja, they will get strength to fight evil and courageously face every situation.
What is the Vishnu mantra and what does it say?
Well, the Vishnu mantra is the chant sang by my worshippers to me. Sorry, I had a hair in my ear. This stuff is, it's ridiculous. It states the Lord Vishnu is the preserver and savior of the universe. Always calm and quiet, he rests on the great serpent bed. The lotus flower of creative power springs from the navel of Lord Vishnu. He is the ultimate power being who supports the whole universe. The divine Lord Vishnu is omnipresent. He is pervading everywhere as the sky and dark like clouds. Vishnu, the lotus-eyed god, is the lord of Lakshmi. The ascetics or yogis observe Lord Vishnu through meditation, and Lord Vishnu is the destroyer of the fear of the universe. We all surrender to such great Lord Vishnu.
Thank you, Vishnu. That is all the time we have today. It was a pleasure having you here today. Now here is Rachana with Hindu Weddings.
Thanks, Uvrani. You know Russell Brand and Katy Perry, right? You know they had a wedding, correct? But did you know that their wedding was a traditional Hindu wedding in India? Hindu weddings are very ceremonial. Hindu sacraments are called sankars, and the sacraments performed at a wedding place are called viva sankar. The wedding represents the second stage and probably the most important one, called Grista Ashrama, which involves setting up a family. There are 9 stages of a Hindu wedding: Jamal, Madhuparka, Gaudon, Vivana Homa, Shilaradhan, Sapadapati, Siradashan, and Ashirvada. And now I will explain these 9 stages of a Hindu wedding after this commercial break.
Hey you, are you planning a Hindu wedding?
Do you need a dress for your special occasion?
Well, we got you covered. Call 1-800-522-4929 and take a look at our following options.
Once again, that's 1-800-927-5394.
Yet again, that's 1-800-424-9825.
Welcome back. During the first stage of a Hindu wedding, Jamal, the bride's parents welcome the groom into the place of the wedding, and marks are added to the forehead of the bride and groom. Then both families are introduced, and then the couple exchange garlands. During the next stage, Madhuparka, the groom is given an altar, a seat, and something to drink. During Gaudon, gifts are exchanged from the bride and groom and their families. Next, during Viva Homa, a sacred fire is lit by the priest. During that, the priest recites the sacred mantras. In the next stage, Siladhan, the bride walks over to a stone to symbolize her willingness and strength. Then afterward, the couple walks around the sacred fire 4 times to remind them of their responsibilities. Saptapadi, the next stage, is the most important part of the wedding. The couple walks 7 steps, reciting a prayer at each step, asking for something different. In Surya Darshan, the couple looks to the sun to be blessed a creative life, then to the direction of the polar star to remain unshaken and steadfast like the star. And finally, then at the end, during the last stage, a Shri Radha, the elders bless the couple.
Yes.
From all of us here at HNN, we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
We hope we got rid of all your Hindu doubts about the Hindu religion.
Oh my